Government is coming under fire this morning after a new Associated Press report claiming migrant children are being detained in hotels, including one here in Phoenix. Team 12's Jen Wahl joins us live this morning. So Jen, what's in these documents?
Yeah, good morning to you, Rachel. So the Associated Press reports that the Trump administration detained immigrant children and teens at hotels in Phoenix and at the Texas-Mexico border before deporting them back to their home countries. Now, according to documents obtained, some of the children were reportedly as young as 1 and were sometimes held for weeks. They were held under policies that shut down the nation's asylum system during the pandemic. The documents also say a private contractor for immigration and Customs Enforcement took the children to 3 Hampton Inn and Suites hotels. Federal anti-trafficking laws and a court settlement requires children to be sent to government shelters. President Trump's administration is, however, deporting people seeking asylum in the U.S., citing on a public health declaration. Lawyers and advocates say putting these children in hotels without their parents exposes them to trauma risks. Now, in a release on Twitter, Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego wrote that, quote, Phoenix values the health and safety of every individual, especially children. The secretive use of private hotels to detain migrant children is deeply concerning and inappropriate. I've asked for a full investigation and will pursue action on any violations that have occurred. And in that same tweet, Mayor Gallego attached a letter that she wrote to Chad Wolf, Acting Secretary, Department of Homeland Security, so you can see that there as well. Stay with 12 News as we continue to follow this investigation. For now, we're live in Phoenix. Jen Wahl, Today in AZ.